Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Winged Horse Designs. I'm Donna Goodwin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Brookings, South Dakota. This morning, I'm going to show you this fun three-fold square card. So when it's all folded up, it looks like a square and you get 4 quadrants in it, but there's only 3 folds involved. And then when you open it up, it looks like this. And I'll show you a better view of it a little bit later. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in and get started while we wait for people to show up. That's what I wanted to do. This is the card that I did last Monday, and during the live, this went out to Irene. And for those of you who came back in on replay, thank you. And you liked, commented, and shared. This one is going out to Cheryl with a C. And this is the one that I did last week where we used some geometric shapes and created a fun little pattern, making our own pretty paper to put on this side. So whenever you don't have any pretty designer series paper, you can make your own with stamps, ink, and paper. So congratulations, ladies. So here's a better view of what we're doing this morning. We are going to do 3 folds that comes up as a square card. Now, I found this from a demonstrator in the UK, and hers was 5.5 by 5.5 inches square. And I didn't want to have to go buy envelopes for that larger size, and I didn't want to make my own envelope because I'm being a little on the lazy side. And so I resized it so that it'll fit in a standard Stampin' Up! Envelope. And so this one measures 4.25 inches by 4.25 inches. So I'm going to set that up here. It's not going to lay flat while we're here, but we'll kind of leave it there. What you need is you need a card base for this particular, the 4.25 by 4.25, that measures 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches square. And the measurements are in the description, so you won't need to write them down. And in my blog post, there's a link to the blog post that will be up shortly after the video. There's a template for doing it if you want a 5.5 by 5.5 finished card. You'll need a piece of neutral that measures 4 inches by 4 inches. Another piece of neutral that measures 2 inches by 2 inches. Gotta love these measurements. And then a piece of scrap that we're going to do our flower and leaves with. And 2 pieces of pretty paper that measure 2 inches by 2 inches. So I chose Bermuda Bay. It is now completely sold out in the ink, in the cardstock, in the refiller. The only thing that's available still in Bermuda Bay are the alcohol blends markers. And I chose the Happiness Abounds for my project today. It's on the retiring list. It comes with matching dies. And we're just going to use this flower here and this leaf here and the sentiment, "You are wonderful in every way." And then you can see it cuts out the different flowers. You can create a lattice or you can create some borders. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp our pieces. Now when we're stamping this inside piece, we want it to show in this bottom quadrant. So I'm just going to kind of think that it's down in that part. And we're going to stamp this in Bermuda Bay. And an easy way to think of where that quadrant is take that 2 by 2 piece and just lay it on top of there, and then we kind of have a feel for where our quadrant is here. And usually I have people watching by now and there's no one here. Now I do know up here in Brookings, we are in the middle of spring cleanup and it's a gorgeous day and everyone's out there. So I'm just going to do a quick check, if you don't mind, to make sure that I am actually streaming out there. Okay, I am streaming to Facebook. And I can't quite tell if I'm out here on, yep, I'm also streaming to YouTube, so I'm there. I'll just keep talking and know that most of you are going to join the replay. So I'm going to move this aside because I'm not actually going to stamp this piece. We're just going to use it as background. So there's the stamping on the inside. I'm going to stamp our flower in Memento ink and our leaf in Memento ink. This is kind of a large piece of scrap, but that's okay. Now I'm going to stamp 2 leaves. And then we're going to color these with blends. I'm going to bring in some scrap paper because we do need something underneath this as blends will bleed through. So I'm going to color my flower with Pool Party, light and dark, and light Bermuda Bay. And it shouldn't take me too long to color this. I do not have one already pre-colored. I know that you're used to that. I apologize. It was Easter weekend. I kind of didn't do much crafting. So I'm going to lay down a light color, and I'm going to work in the center and work my way out, and then I'm going to work out petal by petal. And I'm going to come in with the dark and hit those areas that would be lying underneath other petals. And I'm going to come in with the light Bermuda Bay, which is slightly darker yet, and add a little bit. And then I'm going to come back in with my light. And color over it. And then I'm just going to pick up and start doing one petal at a time, because the alcohol markers do dry rather quickly and it's just easier to work one petal at a time. So underneath other petals, and then this is the way I like to do it. You can do them any way you like. And then I like to lay down that light color, working one petal at a time, bring in a darker color, and then come back and blend it all together with a lighter color. For those of you who have just joined, welcome. And for those of you who are watching on replay, welcome. I'm going to do these 2 petals together here. You'll notice I'm using the pencil tip because it just allows me to be able to put just a smidge more pressure underneath it or on my blender than it does with the paint side. The paint side's pretty fragile. So I'm laying on some color and then just continually working out, being sure to get some darker color on the petals where they're laying underneath another petal. If you're enjoying this content, please do like, comment, and share with your friends. And if you would like to order any products and you're in the United States and you don't already have another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You can find me on my website. I'll do that in real quick. You can find me over here on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, all under the title of Winged Horse Designs. And if you're interested, here's my host code for April. And again, I'm just doing light, slightly darker around the edges where it's underneath another petal, then coming back in and blending it all back together with light again. Leaving some extra good dark right there where it's underneath another petal. Welcome, Brenda. It definitely is a beautiful morning. For the rest of you who are watching, and Brenda, at the end I'll do questions and answers. So if there's any questions you have about any of the Stampin' Up! Products, or maybe about the retired list, if you've had a chance to look at the retiring list, we're sad to see those go, but we need to make room for new products. Since the new catalog is coming out the 1st of May, actually the 2nd of May, but you know, the first part of May. So there's our flower. And then for my leaf, I'm going to use Granny Apple Green, both the light and the dark. And just like I did in flower, I like to start with my light and just lay down a base color. Come in with some darker where I want my shading. You notice I'm not even being very precise. I'm just kind of working at it. Or you might want to let me know what I'm going to ask a question. I'm not going to type it in just yet. It's because I'm in the moment of coloring, but I'd kind of like to know what's your favorite crafting to do, with card crafting. Do you like techniques or do you like fun pulls? Which one do you like the most? I can give you a third option because I know everyone's going to choose that anyway. Both. So now that I have the coloring done, you definitely want to make sure you recap these right away and don't leave them laying around or they go dry. We can die cut these out, and then we'll talk about scoring our card base and putting our card together. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the die cut machine. And these are small enough I can use my mini. Wow, everyone's so quiet this morning. We may all need some more coffee. I don't drink coffee, but whatever your favorite morning beverage might be. We'll cut out our second set of leaves. Run it through my squeaky machine. Now we'll get into the part that should bring in questions. So on my 6.5 by 6.5 inch, in order to get the 3 folds that come out into a square, you need to start when if you're deciding on your size, what size you want your finished card to be. And I chose 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Then you need to divide that in half. So that gave me 2 1/8. However, I did resize it because I would have ended up with 6 1/4 inches. I resized it just slightly just to make the measurements easier. So I'm going to score at 2 1/4 inches. You essentially need thirds. So you would have taken 4 1/4 plus 2 1/4 to get 6.5 inches, because you want it in imaginary quadrants of 3. So we're going to score that. We're going to rotate it. That gives us a vertical score line. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees and score it 2 1/4 again. And then we're going to set this aside for a moment and bring in a ruler and a pencil. And we're going to measure across the top to 4 1/4 inches, which is the size of our finished card, and down the bottom at the left side to 4 1/4 inches, and make another tick mark. So I have a little tick mark here and a little tick mark here. We're going to score from this tick mark to this tick mark. And if I measured correctly, our diagonal line will intersect through our intersection there. So I'm going to line these tick marks into the groove. If I did this right, I should have 3 lines, and I didn't. I should have had 3 lines that intersect right through here. But since this is one I can just remake quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and fix that up. by sliding it over slightly, because I did not cut another piece here. So we'll make this piece work for demonstration purposes. So we are going to score our vertical and a horizontal line in valley folds. And then we're going to score our diagonal line in a mountain fold. And then when we fold this, our valley folds are going to come in, and that's going to give us our corner here so that we have 4 quadrants. So I'll do that again. You've now got this. This is a mountain fold because they're going to fold in. Our 2 valley folds are going to fold in, and that gives us a square on the top. And I'm just going to tack things down since this one's crooked, and I'm going to have to redo it later. So we'll just do a light tack rather than glue everything in tight because I need to make a new card base. And we just stick our square on the inside. Now you could decorate these as well. And on my blog post that'll go up a little bit later, I'll talk about how if you didn't want to have if you want to decorate the inside and you didn't want to have squares like this and this all loose, how you could come up and do all of this. And then, of course, you could put 2-inch square there. I chose not to, but if you have a lot of designer series paper left that you want to use up, you can do that. So we'll put our designer series squares. I'm going to open it up this way. We're going to put those on these corners and this corner. And then when you fold this down, you have your 2 designer series papers. I'm going to put on my white base here to hold my flower. And I'm going to glue my leaves to the back of my flower. Well, maybe. Say goodbye to that one. Try another one. There we go. This one needs a little bit more glue. Oh. Okay, I'm glue challenged today. Does that happen to any of you ever? I'll pop this flower up with some dimensionals on top of that white. I have a sneak peek of what I'm going to upload on Friday if you can stick through to the end. I can go ahead and put this down because I can always, like I said, this is tack. You can bring your images down over this edge or across this edge. You just don't want to go across those edges, obviously. And so the pretty one, add a few dimensionals, or not dimensionals, I used glossy dots. These are the Pool Party glossy dots. So I put one on the flower like a little raindrop and a couple down here just to highlight my sentiment. But it opens up like this. So a nice fun fold. And then Friday, I am doing a static upload of this. It's called a crossover card because we have panels that are crossing over. And I set mine so that the center panel tucks in underneath the hello there. So I'll show you how to do a crossover card. Now, I'm going to switch cameras, answer any questions. So if you have questions, please do put them in because comments and questions get you into the live drawing. I use StreamYard to stream and it pulls for questions when I do the live giveaway from comments. So I am going to, Brenda was here and letting me know she's here. It is definitely beautiful. So when I ask the question, do you like fun folds versus techniques in which do you like? Brenda says it depends on her mood, which is generally affected by the weather. I totally agree. My mood's so affected by the weather. Sometimes she prefers techniques, but she always loves fun folds. And the funner and foldier, the better. This was a little bit different. It was kind of challenging to go from Fiona's 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch down to 4.25 by 4.25. I definitely, if you're resizing something, use copy paper, printer paper, whatever. Use scrap. If you have some old scrap, grid paper, something, use that and do all your cuts and folds first. I actually went through, I believe, about 6 sheets of printer paper to get the folds and the size measurements exactly the way I wanted. And she likes this one. So I don't see any other comments coming in just yet. So while I'm working on queuing up the giveaway, we'll give it just a few seconds. I have to remember which, there we go, that screen. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and do screen share. And I'm going to go ahead and start it because there are 4 of you watching. There's only one person. Well, wait a minute. Let me back up here. There's only one person who's commented. So Brenda, congratulations. You're going to get this card. That makes it super easy, doesn't it? I don't need to do a giveaway. There's only one person making a comment. So I hope you enjoyed this card. I do hope you'll come back and watch. I have a lot of, if you go to my YouTube page, I have a couple playlists out there that I am loading up with fun folds and fun techniques. So if you happen to have missed one or you're just now new to me, please do come in and check those out. So have a wonderful week, everyone. I'm going to go get outside and start working on spring cleaning in the yard. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Happy trails.